Hopefully by now you have realized the importance of lifting and general physical activity, and maybe you've had something that happens like this. You go to deadlift or squat, and afterwards your form was perfect, but afterwards your back still is giving you a little bit of trouble. Or maybe you're running and you're getting some hip issues in the front of your hip. Maybe things are feeling tight. Anyway, I just thought I'd go over very briefly the anatomy of the major hip flexors and how to train them at home. You could obviously do this in a gym as well, but this is a very straightforward way of getting it done. So first, let's just go over the anatomy super fast. So one of the reasons you might be getting that lower back stiffness, maybe anterior pain tightness, you see this muscle here? That is your psoas major. And your psoas major goes all the way down to your hip from here. This is iliacus. So those two muscles together are iliopsoas. That's what they're called. And they cross the hip here. But they also, as you can see, have an influence on your pelvis and on your lower back. So that could be what's going on. And then in terms of the front of the thigh, if you take a look at this here, this is actually part of your quadricep right here. Okay, it's rectus femoris. It's part of your quadricep. And it crosses both the hip and the knee. So if you have a tight hip flexor and you're like, wait a minute, I've worked on my iliopsoas, that's not the issue. It could be that. And we physical therapists see this all the time. I've seen this personally, both as a PT and as a trainer and a coach. So I would really recommend training these things. Now, how do you actually go about doing that? It's pretty straightforward. There are really two positions that we care about. One is from neutral until where the hip is completely flexed, and the other is hyperextension with the leg out back behind you. As you can see here, I'm standing on a platform and I am flexing my hip as hard as I can, leg all the way up. This is a nice straight hip. So that actually uses iliopsoas and gets that leg of my quad I was talking about, the rectus femoris. You can see I'm just doing some reps here. So that's one way to train it. Even without weight, for most people, a straight leg position is going to be hard enough. You also can train it like this. So I've got a kettlebell here, and I'm going to hook my foot into it and try to flex my knee as hard as I can for reps. The other position that we care about is having your hip extended. So I'm going to assume a sort of split stance and then lean back, lean way back, and I'm going to relax my front leg and try to use the eccentric on my back leg. So I'm getting a huge eccentric stretch, resisting the whole time, and I drive my foot into the floor to pick myself back up. I'm not really using the front leg too much. I'm really just sticking to using the back leg. You may not need to weight this at all in the beginning or do any other modifications. Incorporating a platform. So that's how to train this in short. There are somewhat more challenging methods like split training and things like that, but that's a really good place to start for most people. If you need to scale it, have any questions, let me know. But I would start training your hip flexor at least once a week. It's a really great thing to do right after you lift heavy. It's not super neurologically taxing, and it may prevent you from having a stiff back the next day. Have a good one.